Hi, my name is Braden Ison, and this is the personality type presentation assignment. In this assignment, I'm going to be covering the Myers-Briggs Types Indicator, my results, how I feel about them, and how I can use those results to my advantage. For those of you who don't know, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator is a personality type indicator that where you answer a bunch of questions, and depending on your results, you get put into different categories, and it ultimately tells you your personality type. The Myers-Briggs type indicator was created by Catherine Cook Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers. The infancy stage of it is Catherine Briggs was just always uh, interested in personality type theory, and whenever she met her daughter's future husband, she just found him very interesting, and just it really piqued her curiosity on how different personality types view different situations. Another part that influenced the Myers-Briggs type indicator was World War II. Uh, Catherine felt that, if people could understand each other psychologically, that just everybody would be a more cohesive unit. Everybody's personality could find a way to mesh, and obviously that would be a pro during a time of war. So, because of this, she was determined to find a way to get people access to their psychological type, and this led to the idea of the type indicator. And then, after she worked on it for nearly 20 years, the Myers Briggs type indicator instrument was first published in 1962. So, the personality types, there's 16 of them for the MBTI, and they consist of four letters, and they might seem random: ISTJ, ISFP, etc., etc. But actually, each letter represents something. So E is extroversion, I is introversion, S is sensing, N is tuition, T is thinking, F is feeling, J is judging, and P is perceiving. And after you answer the questions on the personality type indicator, you basically get put into these different categories, either I or E or S or N, just all these things, and then it gives you your personality type. So along with the letters of, the personality type indicator, there's also these things called the functional stack inside of it. And what the functional stack is, it kind of levels the hierarchy of your consciousness for your different personality traits. So your dominant functional stack is your defining characteristic. Your auxiliary is a well-developed characteristic, almost works as a sidekick to your dominant one. Your tertiary is you're relatively unconscious. The tertiary and the inferior are a little bit below the dominant and auxiliary functional stacks, but there's still a part of you, and that's still kind of the way your personality processes things. And then finally, your inferior is your least conscious, your bottom of the totem pole as far as your personality traits and how much consciousness goes into using them. So I took the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and my personality type came out to be ENFP. And just to give a breakdown of kind of where I fall on the scale of everyone else, it's the seventh most common, so it's pretty much right in the middle. There's 16 types, 8.1% of the population, right there. And ENFP stands for extroversion, intuition, feeling, and perceiving. After taking the test and getting these results, I obviously wanted to do some research on ENFP and learn about it, learn what this is saying my personality is, and see how I react to it. So after researching the ENFP, I learned that this personality type is commonly referred to as the inspirer. It has generally warm, enthusiastic people, typically very bright and full of potential. ENFPs are usually, they have a broad range of skills and talents. And then a con of being an ENFP is they need to focus on following through with their projects. So now that, I learned what Myers-Briggs is, and I took the test, and I kind of did a little bit of research on ENFP, I wanted to kind of look at my, what it says my functional stack would be. And so my dominant is extroverted intuition, which that means I'm highly attuned to possibilities and theories. And this doesn't just mean like theories like an outward way of thinking. This is more so hearing everybody's side of the story, hearing all the possible options, hearing everything before making a decision to do something. My auxiliary was introverted feeling, focused on my values. That means whenever I'm making a decision, whenever I'm in a setting, I'm going to put my values first. If I'm hearing out every possibility like I am with my dominant functional stack, my auxiliary functional stack is going to put, my values ahead of the decisions most likely whenever I do make the decisions. My tertiary is extroverted thinking, which is logical reasoning and high self-awareness. Logical reasoning is pretty self-explanatory, but it's pretty much just wanting to know things, and think of them level-headed and not too emotionally before you make a decision. And then high self-awareness is just being kind of aware of where you are when making a decision. So for an example, in a business setting, know that, okay, my business is falling behind my competitors or my business is not keeping up with the trends, being able to kind of put your ego aside and just know, okay, this is where I stand in the grand, overall picture of things. And then inferior is introverted sensing, recalling past events. This doesn't mean having a good memory or anything like that. Well, it does, but what it really is saying is that, I like to have facts of past events. I like to have things that, concrete evidence. Okay, this happened, and these numbers we can refer to right there. I just want a very concrete, not a lot of things left open to interpretation. And that kind of goes back to the logical reasoning and high self awareness of when making a decision along with the extroverted intuition. So now how I feel about being an ENFP, and that's what I'm labeled as, I'm just going to go through some things I agree with and disagree with, and I'm just going to briefly touch on these for the sake of time. Bright and capable, I feel like I am smart enough and I feel like I'm capable enough to learn things, not too over my head, but I think I can be adequate if I put my mind to it. Extremely intuitive and perceptive about people. I feel that way because, I just think that, I read people really well and I have a good understanding of how people are feeling. And I've just always kind of prided myself on being able to sympathize and empathize with people. Cooperative and friendly. If you know me, then you know that I'm very friendly and you know that, I like to help people out and I like to just show people, what's going on and help them with whatever they're doing. And that's so cooperative, friendly is Inley, creative and energetic. I'm sure you can tell already by the way I'm speaking and just my mannerisms. I'm a very energetic person and I'm creative because, when I'm in a group, this goes back to the cooperation. I like to help people figure out what's going on. I like to show people, okay, this didn't work, but maybe this can work. And that goes back to the exploring, all the possibilities and theories. Well-developed verbal and written communication skills. On the surface level, I definitely agree with this. I think I'm pretty good at talking to people. I think I'm pretty good at communicating with people in all mediums. But what I took away, what this meant was, I'm good at kind of picking up on social cues and I'm not going to offend anybody. I'm just going to say what needs to be said when it needs to be said. I'm not going to hammer on a point. So really, I felt that this meant more having good social cues. Usually able to grasp difficult concepts. I agree with this. I'm not saying I'm an Einstein. I'm not saying I can learn anything to the fullest ability, but I do think that I'm a quick learner of things in general. So that would obviously apply to difficult concepts and theories. Some things that I disagree with is, I think I am, unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with some of these, and they would be positive attributes, but I have to be honest with the way I feel about being an ENFP. So it says I'm service oriented, likely to put needs to others above their own. Unfortunately, I do like to help others, but I do have a sort of a blind spot of I often find myself thinking, okay, now they owe me one, or okay, what can I get out of this? And always kind of feeling like, something's a trade-off rather than just wanting to help someone, unfortunately. I don't find myself project oriented because, I don't really set up a bunch of future goals and future projects. I just kind of set up what I need to set up and I don't overly stress about it. I just know it needs to get done and I make sure I get it done by that time. Driven to meet others' needs. This kind of goes back to the service oriented. I don't feel like obviously I already said it, I just feel like I somewhat have a blind spot of wanting something in return. So there are exceptions, but sometimes, a lot of times, I feel myself driven to meet others' needs for my benefit. Hold on to bad relationships long after they've turned bad. I definitely don't have a problem severing relationships and moving on, especially in a professional setting. If you are teamed up with somebody and you're trying to do something with somebody and you're constantly kind of falling backwards or it's getting a negative result, I have no problem, kind of cutting the personal tie and just saying, look, this is, nothing personal, but we have to try something else out. And if that means severing a relationship, then that's what it means. but I got to do what's best for me, whether it be professional or personal. Resist to being controlled by others. Clearly, everybody wants some level of freedom, but the reason why I disagree with it is no, I don't, enjoy being controlled by others. Like I said, everyone wants freedom, but I don't find myself irritated if I'm not the leader. If I have to play the back seat position, then I'm just fine with that. With that being said, being an ENFP and learning about it, I will lead. I don't mind giving orders. I don't mind having my face attached to it. I don't mind, directing people. I don't mind being a leader. But I'm not grasping at the opportunity. If I have to lead, I will lead. So therefore, I don't necessarily mind being controlled by others. And then tendency to be smothering. This goes back to resist being controlled by others. I'm not going to push an issue if I'm not the leader. And this also goes back to holding on to bad relationships. I'm not going to, I'm not the type of person to work and work and work on something until this team can figure it out. I'm just going to get the team together that can figure it out. So now that I know what ENFPs are and I know how I stack up and now I know how I feel, this is how I can use the personality type to my advantage. Good communication skills in a business setting. This kind of goes back to the leadership style. I think that I can use my leadership ability and make it malleable, to present good news, bad news to whoever needs it, however it needs to be delivered. And another thing is the ability to adjust a business plan. This goes back to, I kind of look at the cupcake company in Atlanta for a reference. They were able to, adjust their business plan on the fly whenever they said, hey, this isn't working. We need something new. We need new HR. We need to stop doing this. We need to go back to our roots of Southern hospitality. And I think that speaks to me because I have, a high level of self-awareness, like mentioned earlier, being an ENFP. So I think that this can help me, put my ego aside in a manager position and say, hey, this isn't about me looking good. This is about the company looking good. So I think that I have the ability to change a business plan if need be. Another way I can use it is I feel like I can keep my guard up in, negotiations. I feel like I can hear out all sides, just like we spoke earlier about the extroverted thinking. But another thing with my second functional stack, my auxiliary functional stack, I'm going to value my values above all else, which I feel like will really help me in team dynamics and also help me in negotiation dynamics. Because as we know, every conversation is a negotiation. And then finally, the way I think I can use my personality type of ENFP is I can make personal connections with people. And this goes for all of the things. This goes with my leadership style, my self-awareness of a business plan of not having an ego. This goes with teams. This goes with leadership. This goes with all of it, because overall personal connections are what's going to help you move forward in any aspect, professionally and personally. And I just think the ENFP is a great umbrella personality type for that, because it shows that you're willing to hear other side, you're willing to value your own opinion, and you're willing to perceive people, learn about people, and think about things. And I just think that's really good for making personal connections, which overall are usually always beneficial. So in conclusion, I found the results interesting and enjoyed the Myers-Briggs type indicator. I mostly agreed with my ENFP results, and I look forward to using this information and kind of applying it and noticing it throughout my day-to-day activities and my professional endeavors as well. And I really enjoyed it. I can't stress that enough, that I just thought it was very interesting and look forward to figuring it out on my own when I recognize it, in the future. These are my references for this presentation, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.